All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Three Los Global. I'm here with Dionisi. My name's William. I'm going to be your host today, filling in for CJ. Dionisi, how are you, man?
I'm fine, man. I didn't expect us to go live twice in a row, but what do you know? I guess with this club.
Yeah, it's unfortunate times. A lot of big news coming out of BDA today. I know you got more information on it than I do, but from what I can see, it's a brand new sporting director and a brand new head coach. That's everything, I think.
As far as I know, yeah,
Yeah,
with the club's radio silence, it's not always easy to tell. To be
Yeah, well,
honest,
it's funny you bring that up straight off the bat because we um we don't get much information from the club really ever, and then in one day they announce in one press conference the head coach and the new sporting director, but we did kind of have a feeling that it was coming. Um, so it is funny that you say that. But yeah, today we're just going to be going over obviously stuff about the new head coach and the new manager. Dionisi, do you have a quick analysis on the manager?
the main thing and the main problem, anyone and me too, to be honest, have is that in 23 years he's been in 21 teams, which is concerning to say the least.
Yeah.
His best year, at least recently, that comes of my memory, is that 2 year stint with Braga, where he pretty sure he won the league once as well.
Mm-hmm.
It
Okay.
was 2020 to
Right.
2022.
So, like, we'll start the conversation here because, um, with a new head coach, obviously he did have a rough time towards the end there. But you think about the beginning of the season, we got off to like what was it, like 8 straight games undefeated. We're playing some decent football, and there's CJ in the chat there. Um, yeah, we did win a lot of games at the beginning of the season. I think it was something crazy, like a good unbeaten run. Um, and then just a rough time at the end there. So I'm just wondering, like, are we expecting results straight out of the gate, or what should we be expecting from this coach?
I think the main goal is to get us into Europe, to be honest, more than anything. Knowing how the club has worked in the past, let's say 3 years, which is a bit depressing, it's results after results. So I really don't know. It's the first time I'm confused more than anything on what's gonna happen.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the lack of communication from the club kind of does that to you, doesn't it? Like, you think about the new coach and how we knew before it was announced, and it was pretty clear to see that he was going to get the sack, um, which I think to a lot of fans was kind of unfortunate because, like I said, he did do well at the beginning. Um, and now with this multi-club ownership with Rio Ave that came into play, um, we're going to go through that in kind of like a timeline type thing in a couple seconds. But um, it's just very strange times for the club. Um, oh, looks like Chrysos is awake and able to join. We'll see. Maybe you can get him up, Dionisi. I'm just going to go through a bit of the timeline here real quick, but it would be nice to get a third opinion on what's
Yeah,
been going on today. Um, so November 5th, we're going into a derby against PAOK, and we come out of that derby with a 4-2 defeat, right? Um, then we played, who was it? Panetolikos and
yeah, it was
who was the
Asteras,
other game?
pretty sure.
Asteras, that's right.
Yes.
So we played 2 games in between there, which were always going to be more comfortable games for us. And then the 5-0 to Freiburg, and then the 2-2, the most recent game, to Volos, which I think is the game where um, it was kind of evident that Martinez was not going to be around. The players going to celebrate the goals with him, right? They were all trying to get him involved. Felt like just trying to show their appreciation for what he's done. Even that was my kind of take on the game. I woke up late. It was early in the morning. Honestly, forgot they were playing. I didn't actually see the game. Saw the highlights. It's about a 15-minute highlight. Probably doesn't do it justice, but overall, like that game, do you think that was the turning point, or could it have been even earlier, like Freiburg or PAOK or something like that?
If you're talking about the turning point for Martinez going,
Mm,
it was probably Pauk.
yeah.
But if you're talking about the main turning point about how the club is right now, I'd even say it was whatever happened with the Panathinaikos game.
Yeah. No, I would agree. That whole game was just shambolic. It's a
It
whole nother
started this
conversation.
legal shit show,
Yeah, it
basically.
did. Well, I mean, we're never going to be playing in front of fans again, apparently. Like the amount of times we've been getting suspended and hit with fines, even on the road to Volos, we're getting hit with stuff. It's just not a good look on the club. And it's really sad to see.
Nothing is a good look on the club
Yeah.
right now,
At this
honestly.
moment, no, there really isn't. Um, but two new arrivals to the background staff. So it's Pedro Alves and Carlos Carvalhal. Um, what do you think we should expect from them? I know you talked briefly about their history. Um, are we expecting like a defensive minded type of thing? Because that's what I've personally seen from previous jobs.
As far as I know, Carvajal plays mostly with a 4-4-2, which I'm really concerned about how it's going to work
Right.
here, especially knowing how we've dealt with defensive coaches in the past.
Uh-huh.
But to be honest, I don't know much about the sporting director. I know he's the one who brought the story up from the third division, I'm pretty sure, because he's been there since July 2018 till now.
Oh wow.
But I
Okay, so he's
don't
he's
know much else.
huh. I'm sure we'll see a bunch more information on them,
Yeah.
especially in the coming days. 3-4-3 and 4-4-2. Um, okay. 3-4-3 is a bit strange. I can't remember us playing with three at the back.
Oh, three at the back.
It's
I rarely remember Martins doing that, but in like cup games and stuff like that.
yeah.
I specifically remember a cup game with who was it? It was a second division side that Kalamata, I think, to be
Oh,
honest.
yeah, okay.
Ari is apparently here from
Okay.
Gen 7.
You guys are up early. Well,
Yeah,
I'll tell you.
Ari, for me, it's late. For me, it's midnight.
Yeah, it's about 4:50 p.m. here in Ontario. It's a pretty chilly day, but we had to hop on and talk about this because honestly, I was not ready for a new manager. I was not ready to see Martinez go. Um, I thought that seeing, yeah, it's we got a Greek and a Canadian on today.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really ready to see Martinez go. I thought that what he was doing, you could see the patterns of play. You could see the direction he was trying to take the club in. The only things that I have to criticize about Martinez is maybe his game management. I'm thinking the substitutions, taking out all four of our attackers in a big game. Thinking specifically Bachka. If you think back to that game, we're 2-0 ahead. And by the end of it, we're 2-0 down. And that was taking Fortunis, Podence, Masuras, and Alkabiov.
And I think he took them off early too, didn't he? If I remember
did.
correctly.
He did. It was 75th, 65th minute type of thing, maybe even earlier than 75th. But it just I'd say that is something I'm critical of with him. I would say also the loans. I don't know who's in charge of that. Maybe that's more Cordon, but
I don't even know. I'm pretty sure Nottingham is in Cordon.
Right. Well, I
Because we
just
have
read something today about the Premier League and how they were going to ban loan from any multi-club ownerships within the Premier League, but they voted against it. So that will not be happening because that would see Biancon, Scarpa, who else?
Richards.
Yes, Richards.
Who else? God, so many I don't even remember at this point.
Yeah, me neither. That might be it.
Carvalho isn't alone.
No,
He's been here for a while, yeah.
Yeah, he's been here for a while.
Yeah, I think that's it from Nottingham.
Yeah. Well,
I think it was one vote off as well.
Yeah, it was very close. They needed a 2/3 majority, so about 14 clubs would have done that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they got 13, to be honest.
Oh, well, we were very close to offloading quite a few loans in January, but I guess things just don't turn out sometimes. That would have been a bit of a blessing.
Yeah, we wouldn't lose much, to be honest.
Well, let's talk about what we want to see from the club going forward from this point on until maybe, I don't know. We have a game coming up against Bachka. We got a game coming up. You said the weekend might be canceled, didn't you?
Yeah,
okay.
There is a reported. This shouldn't even be a thing. The ref from Volos got death threats, which is something to not even comment about. So UEFA took notice, and there are talks about punishments. I don't know if it will be to Greek football in general, to us, I'm not sure.
Okay.
But it's reported that the refs, in support of the referee of that game, will go on strike this weekend. So no game is certain.
Okay. So
Yeah, it will probably be us. It will probably be us.
it's are you in the chat? But no, like the other clubs are making statements. Realistically, I did not expect to hear anything from anyone about this thing from Volos that happened. I don't know this how to describe this situation, but I know that
but it would probably get us demonetized, so I won't.
All right, we'll call it unfortunate. I didn't expect to hear anything about those unfortunate things that happened this weekend. We'll go with that. We'll go with the uneducated sentence that I just came up with. It really surprises me to see Olympiacos revealing a new manager and a new sporting director in the same day, because when it comes to stuff like that, Ari just brought it up, we don't hear anything. It's radio silence from the club, and it can be frustrating as a fan. I don't know about you, Dionisi, but like I want to know what's going on with the club, and I'm sure you feel the same way. And we just had radio silence for that long, and I don't know. I'm not expecting them to say anything about it. Dionisi, is there any reports from Greece saying like
The,
is that all we know, that they're going on strike and there might not be games this weekend?
I mean, that wasn't even from uh, us. All we did was complain.
Right,
The ironic thing is that from all the things we could have said that game, what we did was complain about the referees.
right.
Nothing else. No care for the fans, the players, nothing else. Uh, I don't know what else to say about the club. It's been radio silence for years, honestly.
Katsuranis made of the Volos debacle on the
The
live
Veterades live stream.
stream. Okay.
Didn't is that on the last live stream? I didn't really catch it, to be honest.
I'm sorry.
I'm talking about the comment. If
Okay.
it's from the last Veterades interview, because I didn't see anything.
Said the referee's family got serious death threats. He asked for police protection. Wow.
Yeah, that's what the strike is gonna be about. That's why UEFA are getting involved, and there are talks about serious punishments. Apparently,
Well, you know what? That's where the issues get stretched. You know what I mean? Because we have our own issues within the club, but there's also issues outside of it in terms of what happened in the Panathinaikos game, what happened at Volos, right? Right here, we can see Adi telling us that this referee's family is receiving death threats. That's a bit too far for me. UEFA
yeah.
referee said
Said
they
they.
will deliver a strong action. Get ready.
Do you want to join up, Ari?
Adi, if you want to, more than happy to get you on, man.
Yeah. Could use a mind like yours, or I mean, a state like this. To be honest.
And it makes me nervous because how far are we going to go? Like how low are we going to drop? Because we've been dropping gradually for the past 2 years. We thought it was rock bottom last year. It's worse this year. They gave us false hope, and now we're in this situation, that situation, new manager, new president, new this, new that. Fans are doing this. I just it's shocking. I don't know how low we could possibly get. Yeah, Adi, man. Dionisi. I'm not sure if you're able to add him. I'll see what I can do
Yeah.
here.
Pretty sure it's the same link.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'll go off of what you said, and it's not that I'm worried about how low we'll go as a club
Mhm.
only. I'm mostly worried about what UEFA will do, because it's, at least in my experience, which is not much, uh, talks about serious punishments from UEFA, it's nothing to be played with, to be honest. I don't know if it's too much, but I'm even scared of a ban from
Of
Europe.
what? Sorry, you kind of cut out a bit.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Of a
That's
ban,
okay.
any kind of ban.
Right. Right. We have been deducted 4 points already this year. A ban would be horrendous for this club. That is not what we want to see, is a ban. Like we don't want to see any more of this in general, because we are not used to seeing stuff like this. We're used to winning all the time, and we're used to having great players and great infrastructure and stuff like that, great managers. And right now, it seems like that sort of happiness that we get from that is kind of coming and going. It's really going to be gone if we do get banned, or if we spiral downwards anymore, right? There's no way we can continue like this
I,
with
I really don't know. I really don't. I don't know what. I mean, Greek football is rotten anyways, but I don't know what UEFA are able to do, how much they'll care. I really don't.
Sorry, I'm just trying to get Adi into
Yeah.
the stream here.
And it goes back to what we said earlier. The radio silence from the club doesn't help.
Not at all, especially when we went a whole few days, almost a week, where we didn't hear anything from the club, and then all of a sudden we get all that news at once. I know I mentioned
I
that
mean,
before.
we've gone years without hearing anything. Seriously.
Yeah, we do. We go in stints of not knowing where we stand, right? Like at the beginning of the season, Cordon was brought in. They said, we're giving him the keys. He's going to run the show. He's going to take care of this team. Well, what's he doing now? Because now we have Reuave and Nottingham Forest that we have to share him with, right? So if he's got 3 separate clubs that he's looking after, and he's what was this new title? It was
Global director. It was something like that. That's what the Ari had said that. Actually, that's what the the Red Bull group calls them. It's something like global director.
it's
I mean,
like a global director.
he was advisor for Nottingham even when he came in. He
Okay.
wasn't only at us, as far as I'm aware.
Okay. Like, it would be fine if there was 2 of us, I feel like. Because if that's one person, you're still dividing your attention, but it's still less and more. You're able to contain it better, and you're able to nurture each club in a better way because you have more time. Am I right on that?
I mean, technically, yeah, but I am one of the. I don't know if I'm right on this, but I'm one of the people who didn't agree with the Nottingham thing either way. Because I knew in some way or another we'd get affected negatively. Because it is still a Premier League club.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, it just started raining like hell, so I'm sorry for the background
Really?
noise.
Oh, that's okay. No, I can't hear it
Yeah.
at all. You're all
Okay,
good.
that's good. That's fine.
I just sent Adi the link there. Hopefully we'll get him, maybe Christos in there soon as well.
Yeah.
Actually, let me forward this to him as well. Because this is one of those times
Where we need opinions.
we do. We need conversation. We need debate.
Yeah.
Because before 2 years ago, before last year, we'll say, things were pretty smooth under Martins. Aside from maybe the first season, but
And
even
the
that,
last one.
yes, yeah. Well, I'd say more it was that kind of transition out of Martins and into new manager.
Yeah, into
You know what I mean?
into
Yeah.
whoever, who even was first?
So we went
Was it?
from
Who was it?
Martins
Was it
to
Corberan?
Corberan, and
It
then we
was
went
Corberan.
to, was it Michel?
No, it was Anigo first. After
No.
Corberan.
Wasn't it Michel and then Anigo? because Anigo is the last one.
So many, man. I've
Yeah.
forgotten. Yeah, probably you're right, but
And that's
I
bringing us up to
don't.
our next point, right? I want to talk about this with you. Hopefully we can get the other two on because I want to hear some
Yeah,
more opinions on this. So this is about to be our 6th coach in 2 years. Martins, Corberan, Anigo, Michel, Martinez, and now this lad here. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. He's got it in the comments there. Perfect. So that's a whole lot of managers to have in 2 years, right? Here's Adi. He's about to join us here.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, guys? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
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 loud and
just
clear.
fine, man.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Of course. How are you?
Thank
I'm
you, man.
good. I'm good.
Yeah,
Congratulations on growing the show. I had no idea there were non-Aussies here, so that's awesome.
there's 2
Yeah, yeah.
now.
I'm recent, and Will is more recent.
Yes. Yeah.
Very
This is
cool. Very
my
cool.
2nd show, and Dionisi, maybe your how many shows?
This is either my fourth or my fifth.
Okay. Well, that's
Yeah,
good.
but
Like,
I've mostly been on social media. I've missed like a show or two.
yeah, you're a warrior on Twitter and Instagram with
That's fine.
it's amazing, man. But yeah, so Adi, you got any initial comments for us?
Where to begin?
Well, let's where would you like to start? We can start with the manager, we can start with the disciplinary action that might be taken against us. We could start with the new sporting director, Marinakis in Rio Ave. There's so many places, right? So I'll let
I
you
think I think
yeah.
the best place, I mean, I don't know, for me to start is the right now how the fans how what the outlook is with the fans. The atmosphere is the worst. It's the absolute worst I've witnessed. This is worse than 2018, 2019 for me. Or sorry, 2017, 2018 with
That
Besnik
was the
Hazi.
season I wanted to say.
I
Okay.
mean, that is. I mean, I remember how bad it was during that. Like that season was probably the closest I was to checking out because of how bad things were going. And then I'm thinking also now of like what we've gone through. Not forget the last 18 months,
Yeah.
but it's the last 2.5 years because that last season under Pedro Martins is masked by the fact that we won the title. But we won the title because the other teams were shit. Bike was shit. Panathinaikos was shit. They just had started building their projects at the end of that season. And now look where it's gotten them. They looked at the success we had with Pedro Martins and they realized they had to get together. They had to get their shit together, put a project together, stick with it for more than 6 months. Otherwise, they weren't going to win a title for another 10 years. And look what happened. We then regressed, and it's just really bad. There's we talked to a lot of people, and it's just a mess from all fronts. I mean, nobody is really like actually hopeful about like what's going on about the coach. You give them your support. That's all you can do. That's kind of what we've been saying the last couple of days.
Yeah.
It's a shitty situation that the fault of which lies on individuals who bear no responsibility for it, but that's a different story altogether. um, and all we can do now is just hope that this guy can at least see the season out. Whether or not he sticks around even beyond that is a different story, but there's just so many huge problems. We've talked about it. Oh boy.
Yeah, that's a comment right there, huh?
Go. Now I'm expecting Misha in the comments
Yeah,
somehow.
Michelle is gonna pop up. Adi,
Yeah.
you raised some critical points, right? I think about how rapidly we have gone downhill. And it's not just how far we've gone downhill, but how far the other teams have come. You look at AK, Ike, aka the Canadian term. It just they've built such a stable project, at least up until now. I'm not sure. I haven't taken a recent look at them, but is it more of us regressing or other teams progressing? Like, what do you guys think? Dionysio, you want to start?
Yeah, it's like Ari said. They took the Martinez example and they made it their own, and now they are what we set out to build and failed miserably. They're more of a family than a team. That's why it's working so well, at least in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta agree with you. Adi, you got anything to add to that?
Yes and no. I mean, well, yes, they definitely are. It kind of reminds me of how it was with Pedro Martins here the first 2 years, right? You could see the closeness of the players in the locker room. And I mean, you could hear it when you spoke to the players also. And the difference became later on, like now, when we speak to players, I mean, the half the time they sound depressed. So, anytime we've gone and visited the players and talked to them on the field, it's been one of those things. Not going to name names, but that's the situation. It's a problem with leadership. Who are your leaders on the team? We don't know. Well, sorry, we know who the leaders are. Cosas Fortunis. But is he the captain the team needs? You know what I mean?
Right.
An extremely talented football player, and you can't deny that. Every player we talk to talks about how he's either the most talented football player they've ever played with, or he's one of the most talented. But is he a leader? Probably not. It's
Yeah.
we don't have leaders anymore since like guys like Socrates left and Valbuena. That
For sure.
they were leaders.
I said that on the last show as well, that I take Valbuena back only for the effect he had in the locker room. Only that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think Adi and I can both agree with you on that, because when I was growing up, at least for me personally, I always looked up to players like Djordjevic. We had players like Dominguez. We had players like Cambiaso who were fighters, right? Just the type to live and die by the badge, and you just don't see that as much in general, but especially at this club. So is it recruitment? Is it coaching staff? Is it like how are we going to solve this problem about us having that lack of fight, right? Of character. I'm not too sure. I wouldn't know where to start. We appointed a new head coach and we appointed a new sporting director. I guess that's a start. In terms of roster, where do we go from here? What do we do with the loans? What do we do with the contract expiring? There's a lot. There's a lot we got to do. Not only in January, but next summer. You know what? Yeah, we'll do this right now. Adi, Dionysio and I were saying before the show, we want to do some kind of seller keep type of thing, where I'm just going to name off players and you guys can tell me if they can stay, if we want them to stay, if they have the ability to stay, or if they're going to be gone, or if you want them gone. Right away, I think of El Kabi. Is El Kabi a piece that we're going to keep around, or should we ship him off? Dionysio, you want to start?
We shouldn't. We should definitely not have him as a starter, but I'd keep him around as a squad player or as a backup.
Okay. You think that's
A good enough
Like
thrower,
if yeah. And if we were to get rid of him, would we be able to sell him? Like even in January, in the summer, if they want him gone, like are we going to be able to get a decent profit from him? What do you think?
No, he's 1 year. He's only on a 1-year deal.
Oh, okay. All right. So when's his contract up then, Adi?
This summer.
This summer. It's what I had brought up, that half are Scottish loans and half of them are out of contract.
So Madi Camara out of contract.
Mm-hmm.
Costa Fortuny out of contract.
There's negotiations happening with that.
Okay.
The last thing reported was that he wants $1.5 million per season for an extension. So
for Madi?
For Costa.
For Costa, okay.
Okay.
So we'll see.
What do you think about Alcabi? Is that someone you would want to keep around?
Honestly, I wouldn't mind keeping him as a rotation player because his work ethic is second to none. He reminds me of Guerrero in that respect. Like great for the press, great hustler. Mm-hmm. You love to have that. You need somebody with that effort. But we still would need a number one. We still need a number one striker. And then I want to see Algassim Ba get some looks in the first team. I mean, this guy he won the award for best B team player in the Super League 2 last season. He won that award, and everybody that sees him says great things about him. Every time I've watched him, he looks good. I mean, you can't tell me this guy is going to be any worse than we've seen quality-wise the last 2 months. He can't be any worse than Okabe, can he?
That is such a good point because Dionisi has said this, CJ has said this, Christos has said this. I think all of us have, but we would all like a little bit more of an investment in the youth. I heard you guys, Adi, not too long ago, maybe an episode or two ago, but you were talking about Ndoye. I've always been a fan of Ndoye. I know he's not a center back, and to be thrown into center back last year in a season like that, a position he doesn't know, he just got promoted to the first team. Thoughts on producing more young Greek talent like that and just putting them into the lineup, being patient with them. Can we be patient? Is this something that's possible in this club's culture? You know what I mean? What do you think, Adi? Did we lose him? Okay, we'll come back to it. Dionisi, what do you think?
It's a different question if we can be patient as fans or as a club. Yeah, he's good. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's aside the constant radio silence. The thing that troubles me the most about this club is that we rarely ever produce talent. Because even if you think about people like Tsimikas, for example, which is one of the best sales we've had in the last few years, he went on loan to, was it Willem? I'm pretty sure it was Willem. He didn't really come up at us. He just came back at us and got his chance.
Right. And then
Fortunis went to Germany, for example.
Kaiserslautern, yeah.
Kaiserslautern, yeah. Like, we have so many, like I've told you of the show, I've told you guys of the show as well. We have, in my opinion, so many good talents, and it's now that the younger guys are playing in the youth league as well, it shows that we're just not using at all.
Not using it, and I feel like there's a part of that aspect of the youth where I think Adi's back.
Yeah,
maybe. Yeah, he's good.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're good to go. What do you think youth academy wise? Like, are youth players that are coming up? Like, you guys have mentioned Kostulas, Algassim Ba, Galogeropoulos after, but in terms
Mosakidis.
That's right.
São
Yeah.
Luís.
Yes. Okay. So
Saputo.
integrating those type of players into our team, is that realistic?
I mean, that's the dream, but realistic for Olympiacos, unfortunately, that we don't have the pattern of behavior that tells me that's going to happen, which is a shame because we also hear great things. We hear, I mean, incredible things about Costulas. Um, uh, Costulas is a guy that a lot of people have talked about as like the next big thing to come out of the academy. Now, of course, press talks about that a lot, but even people we have spoken to have said the same thing. Like, no, like forget every player that comes through and he's the next Ronaldo, this, next Messi, that. Like Costulas is an incredible player and he's so young.
Isn't he
So
16?
he's 16, that's it. And don't forget, we have DB Chieda, the Real Madrid Academy product that's been hurt for like 2 years. And he gets on his first game with the B team and he scores 2 goals. He's 19, or maybe he just turned 20. He's another one, incredible player. We have so much talent in this academy, but part of the problem that leads to why we don't play our academy talent is the fact that the coaches that come in here, we don't allow projects to happen. So because we don't allow projects to happen, every coach is under the gun to perform and to win every game. They're not likely to trust youth. They're not likely to trust these guys. Look at Diego Martinez. He's trusted youth in the past at his other jobs, but he didn't promote anybody except who was already there in the first team. So how can you expect a coach to take risks when they have so little room for error here at Olympiacos? And that's the problem. It's not just an Olympiacos thing, by the way. That is a Greek culture thing. We are one of the worst countries in Europe when it comes to participation minutes for academy products.
Aren't we the second worst? Pretty sure.
Yes. I don't think it's second worst. I actually think it's like a few countries underneath us. But
Yes.
like the teams that are underneath us, it's like Turkey and Cyprus. And I think this season, only 13%, 13.7% of total minutes have been played by academy products. And it's really bad. And Olympiacos is like one of the top 3 teams in terms of minutes played because Retsos counts as an academy product, right? So
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
and then Ndoye has been playing a lot too, and Paskalakis counts as well. So it's a joke, and this is stuff that we're talking about here. Like you look at PAOK, and I think it's Pañoños and PAOK were the 2 teams ahead of us, and even them, they're not playing as many. Like you look at the Portuguese league, the Serbian league. We looked at even the Swiss league, and all of their top teams, it's like at least 30%, sometimes 40% of the total minutes played is from like their academy products that are playing. It's garbage, and it's the worst thing about it too is like we talk about, oh, Greek teams don't have money. Well, the best way for you to generate money and to save money is to play your own products. Like the Greek players, their wages are less than the foreign mercenaries that you play in. And you can't tell me they're worse than some of these other guys. And if you sell them, you make a profit. But no, there's this awful mentality in Greek football. And we've heard it from players we've done interviews of. I just did an interview of a former Olympiacos Academy kid. He's a Greek American that went and played
The guy that plays for DC.
Yes, he used to play for Olympiacos DC. He went and he was playing for Ilisiakos, who is in Gama Ethniki right now. And he's back from injury, so I got to do the interview with him. And he said the same thing. Like they bring in because they paid. The way the owners look at it is they bring these guys in, they're paying them, right? They paid to get them, they're paying them a bigger salary. They feel like they have to play them to get their investment. But then they have players on the bench, Greek kids, that get the shaft and they don't get a chance. And it's very difficult for them to get a chance. It's a Greek thing and it's awful. It's part of the terrible football culture that we have.
That is a very good way to describe the mentality in Greek football, because there are a lot of talented players that never end up fulfilling that talent. Whether if they stay in the Greek league or they go elsewhere, it oftentimes it doesn't pan out. And I do think that is a mentality thing. I'm not sure, Dionisi, if you agree. I saw you nodding your head, but it is a serious issue. I would love to see more Greeks thriving in England or Spain or France or something like that. But it's hard to move these players on, whether they don't have the right attitude or they're just not cut from the same cloth as the youth players that the team has that, we're selling these players to. I'm not sure what it is, but there is a mentality problem. And it does come down to the clubs in Greece not giving these players a chance. Dionisi, you got anything to add to that?
Honestly, I think I can add one more problem to the youth situation, and that's the Greek press and the media and how horrible and money driven everything is. Like how they've said, like how Ari mentioned that they've been all over Kostulas lately about how well he's done. And with the first mistake, they'd kill the kid. They'd write him off immediately. Just like they've done. I remember a big part of Greek media when he came up was Androuchos.
Yes. Very talented player.
Killed his career. In my
Not
opinion,
just him,
at
like
least.
even more talented players.
Yeah.
Ninis, remember Ninis, the Greek Schweinsteiger?
Yeah,
After
that guy
Roma,
was
they were
solid.
calling him the Greek. What were they calling him? Yeah, I think it was the Greek Schweinsteiger. And look what happened.
I can bring you someone worse. The Greek Messi, Fetfadzidis.
Fetfadzidis. Yeah, he quickly became the Gadaiki. Or how about Vlachodimos, the Greek Cristiano Ronaldo? He has like one good game.
Yes.
Do you remember that? And he became the
Not
Greek
the
Cristiano
not the
Ronaldo.
keeper. Will.
Panagiotis, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Panagiotis.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
Right.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Yeah. Oh my God.
No
Kutsiani
way.
Gulis, the one-hit wonder for PAOK back in 2012.
Yeah.
Kutsiani Gulis was really fast. Did really well. I think it was against not Kalamata. Well, one of the bottom feeder teams. That was relegation team that was up, and he did amazing against them. One game, Greek Cristiano Ronaldo. The next thing you know, he's back in the abyss of Greek football.
Never to be mentioned again.
Exactly.
That's the thing. There's so many players like that. How many examples did we just come up with on the spot in that span of 10 seconds, at least 4 or 5? Imagine if we had a dedicated 30 minutes of looking at players who played well in Greece, went elsewhere, or didn't fulfill that potential, what they're doing now, right? I think of even our goalie not too long ago, maybe 2019, 2020, we had a goalkeeper named was it Yaniotis?
He's off to Turkey now.
Yeah. There's a lot of players that have come out of the league that just kind of disappear and then they'll come back into play. I'm pretty sure Yusuf Fetfadzidis, he's at what, Apoel maybe? Is that where he's at? He's somewhere.
He's been to
guys,
too many teams. No clue.
Yeah, but all these guys are still playing, and it shows you that they dropped off very young. So do we need to hang on to play? Like, look at Solis, right? So Solis came from PAOK. This is more about, Greek players nationally, but Solis went to Norwich at 19, I think it was, right? Which this was not too long ago. He went to Netherlands, and then he went to
He's in Germany.
Germany,
Second
that's
division.
right. And there's not as much hype around him, but he's playing well, at least from what I've seen, right? So
Yeah.
is there a lack of coverage on when these players are flourishing later on too? Not just, I'm not sure how to say it. The media likes to kick them when they're down, but when they're up, there's not much support from that same media. You know what I mean?
It's more about
Or
the
if they're
next big thing.
right. I can't really
You mean
find the words of what.
I see what you mean from like a recovery standpoint. Like
Like,
when you have the next big thing, he then fails spectacularly for a while, and then when he has a resurgence, you don't hear from him again. Like
that's right.
look at Licoyani for you know what I mean for us. Shipped off. He's actually playing really well in Italy right now.
Isn't he in Monza?
Yes.
Yeah.
He
he's on
was in
Monza.
Cagliari?
yes, and
Oh.
he just scored a free kick goal that I watched the other day. And it was fantastic. I think he's at Bologna now. If I could be wrong.
Licoyanis. Wow, that's crazy.
Anyway, I think I could have sworn he was at Bologna because I watched a free kick goal that he scored. But like he's doing well, and that's like another guy. That's another great backup left back to have. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Are you going to tell me this guy's worse than Gini? Absolutely not. I refuse to believe it.
You can even make a shout about Nicolau as well.
Yeah, but you
Yes.
know what? Even in that respect, like the Nicolaus, Lambro talked about it a couple shows ago. Those are huge successes for the club. Like you get a guy into the academy, okay, maybe he doesn't do it for you. You get 3-4 million. That's a success for us. 3-4 million is a lot of money we can use to bring in other players. Like with Ndoye, there's a lot of like controversy around Ndoye and whether people like him or don't like him, and he's Greek, non-Greek, whatever. Doesn't matter. He did what he did for us. He helped us in a really tough time for the club. As the player quality on the roster gets elevated, he kind of sticks out more, especially in the center back position. You get 3-4 million out of him, that's a success. That's what we should be doing. All these players wasting away just for us to cut their contracts and they go elsewhere. Galo Yeropoulos looked amazing at Volos. You're telling me he couldn't do a job for us? You know, all of these guys, there's no reason we shouldn't be getting small fees for them, using them, giving them a little time here and there in matches just to help with our depth. I refuse to believe they're worse than some of the dead weight we have on the team.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I was just saying to Donisi earlier that I'm a huge advocate for Ndoye. I do like
He's good.
Yeah, that's okay. He's cutting in and out. So that's all right.
You had a nice point. Go on.
But like when we were discussing this earlier about Ndoye, I am a huge advocate for him because when he came in at that difficult time in a different position that he hasn't played, it's not like it was shambolic. At times it was, but if you were to stretch out all of his performances and then squish it into an average, it wouldn't be poor. I wouldn't classify him as poor last season.
Last season he was one of the, I don't know if it was how poor we were in general, but he was one of the bright points of the season.
Yeah. And that's playing at a position he doesn't know. So imagine if you were
he's out of position
to a defensive midfield position. If he goes in there and we are, and he performs, why not just leave him at defensive mid? Whose spot is he going to be taking? Alexandropoulos or Masouras, who honestly are fine on the bench. Masouras is fantastic. He's a great player.
Off the bench, he's even better off the bench.
Yeah, 100%, because he scores. He knows how to get in positions to score. That's what we need, right? For me, El Gabi, like you guys said, is a fantastic option. But oftentimes, he's caught offside or he's caught behind the defenders. And in Martinez's system, it looks more like they were trying to get the ball to his feet at times, right? Fortunis would play a pass or Bodens would play a pass. And they'd be asking him, or they'd be passing it to him, but he would be behind the here's Ade again. He'd be behind the defenders, right? If there are better options, regardless. I'm gonna say this too. If there are better options, regardless of salary, regardless of value in the transfer market, regardless of age, if I have A and B and A is better than B, I'm going to play A regardless of all those things. And I think that we struggle to see past that, right? We often look at age or height or value or wage, whatever it is. If one player is better, we should be playing him, right? I don't know what you think about, like, if Costulas were to come in today and the new coach, he sees him in training and he's like, holy crap, this kid's amazing. And then he sees Okabi, right? Obviously someone that we brought in for free, but someone that probably will have a higher wage bill than Costulas, who's from the youth academy, right? Just because he's making more does not make him better. So if there's Alcabi and Costulas, and he likes Alcabi, and he likes Costulas better, but continues to play Alcabi, that's a problem. Why don't we just play the best players, giving us the best chance to win the game? That's what I think a lot of these coaches that come in, they struggle to see that. I'm not sure your opinions on that. I saw you nod a couple times. I'm not sure if you completely agree, but do you have anything to add to that, Dionisi? Like, I don't know what to think about that.
I mean, your point would be amazing if we were talking about a normal league, but we are talking about the Greek league. So there is always an outside. How's it called? Don't know. I don't remember the word, but there is always something else other than quality playing a
Right.
part. Whether it's money, like Ari said, whether it's relationships with a coach, like we say, sometimes with even Martins. It's not here. It's never only about quality.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I'm hoping that if this coach, I'm gonna say that if this coach is coming in just to continue and we're gonna repeat the same process, that's not progressing the club at all. That's regressing. That's like if we're just gonna do the same thing over and over, we're wasting time and we're wasting resources, right? So what's the point? We do need a project, and I thought Martinez was going to be that project. That was actually a very good segue to what we wanted to talk about today as well. Martinez was always destined to leave early, or was this more a panic acts of the manager from Marinakis or whoever did this? I'm not even sure who wanted him out in the first place, because I know I sure as hell didn't, and I know that a lot of other fans did not either. Who is the one to axe him? Do either of you guys know?
It's 100% panic, but it's also, in a way, it is like he was kind of destined to fail, because look at, when you are 3 months into a season, right, and you find out that the sporting director that's been advertised as the guy that's going to rebuild the infrastructure of the club from the inside out has now been repurposed as a global director for the new Marinakis football group, quote unquote. What does that tell you about the project? What that gives nobody any confidence, especially Diego Martinez. Now the guy that brought him in is going on to bigger and better things. He's not there to protect him anymore. He's not there to support him. You know, he's now an afterthought. So all of this plays into that a little bit. right? So all of these things happening, it makes this issue continue. Now, Diego Martinez, I'm going to tell you, did not make a lot of friends in the media. He cut off access to media in Greece. They did, and guys whose livelihoods depend on having that access to leak were very upset. A lot of people were ready for him to get fired. So that doesn't help on the one hand. On the second hand, you have a group of people. It's the Greek mentality that we have to win now. There's no patience for projects, and things aren't going our way. The first person we always blame the coach. Need I remind you, we don't cop the -4 from the Crotida or with a firecracker or whatever it is. We're sitting in first place even with the result against Volos yesterday. You know what I mean? That's not his fault, but I digress. And all of this comes to a head because then when it comes to a point where we get agitated, the egos are flaring, Gate 7's getting up in arms, then we get upset, we fire the coach. But then we fire the coach and we can't get anybody to come in. Nobody wants to take this job. Who wants to come to Olympiacos? Who wants to come here and deal with this crap? Nobody does. So then we get stuck with a guy like Carvajal. And I'm going to do the tactics analysis on him. I'm actually going to be recording that tonight, and a lot of people aren't super excited about it. And spoiler alert, there's nothing that I'm going to be able to tell you in the analysis that's really going to make you feel that much better about him. I'll give you, there's plenty of context, but that's it.
And you know what's funny? I said to my father, we were in Greece watching the first game of the season, 40 seconds in, Fortuny scores a goal. I said to my dad, we cannot fire Martinez. This can't go sideways like this. This is a great start. This is good. We're up one game. We get 8 wins or 8 unbeaten. We go unbeaten in 8 games or something like that, right? And we're all on board with the project. And then the PAOK thing happens, PAOK game, and the Real Ave thing happens, right? So my theory, I'm not sure, I don't have all the information on it, but it kind of seems to me like the Real Ave takeover and the PAOK game happened kind of back to back, right? So maybe the players and the coaching staff, like that sort of group of people, maybe they were late to find out, aside from like Marinakis' camp, right? Like his close, the people he keeps close, right? If they were to inform the team about what was happening before the PAOK game, and then that kind of busted up a rhythm, or even if it was the Panathinaikos conundrum, whatever happened at that game, could that have really affected a locker room that much? Is that why it's going downhill, or is there something deeper at play? Again, we don't know because the club don't talk, right? Dionisi, like, what do you think? Do you think it's more has to do with the Real Ave takeover, or is it the coach?
The coach, I think the coach got mostly affected by the. I mean, it's not only the takeover. There is, as always with Greek football, I'll keep saying that there is like 5 million background things that no one knows because no one talks.
Of course.
So that media sudden results, of course, Cordon just suddenly leaving after 2 months, however long was it. Everything just piles up to lead to what we see now, basically.
Yeah. And that's exactly it. What you just said is exactly it. Because us speculating right now about what happened is a result of them not communicating. if we knew what was happening, we wouldn't be speculating, but we are, because they haven't told us what happened. You know what I mean? It's very frustrating. We just want to know what's going on. We want to know where this team is headed, where this club is headed. Because if it's headed for a repeat of last season, count me out. I don't want to sit through that again. That was terrible. I'd rather see a project being built, not just 11 players on a field collecting a paycheck. You know what I mean? Like, Adi, I don't know if you got thoughts about that, but that's how I see it personally.
I think
From the
everybody agrees
information I
with
have.
you.
No.
I think most people agree with you there. For me, I believe 100%. I don't think the Rio Ave thing. I don't think the players care about that. To be honest with you, but the Balk game was the big that 100% had a huge impact on the mood and the atmosphere. It definitely had an impact on the locker room. That's 100% sure. And I think that was kind of like a tipping point. When things were going well, even over the summer, we had and we talked about it on one of the shows we did a couple of weeks ago. We had heard from a player, name I won't disclose, that told us the problem is that we have too many loan players, too many guys that don't really have a stake in anything. They're loans, and they're here to get minutes, whatever. So, kind of like telling us that was a recipe for disaster, kind of in the waiting. Now things were going well. Things seemed to be going pretty decently. Then all of a sudden, we're not playing super well. And then of course you have the embarrassing loss to Balk, and that I think was like the major, what do they call that, like climax event that pushed then the rest of this, because shattered morale, and then you saw what happened after that. I mean, even the games against the non-rival teams, Asteras and Panetolikos, like, we had nothing. We had to get bailed out by Costas Fortunis in both games. Then we get pounded by Freiburg, and then Volos. It's all of that is a result of the Balk game. But the Balk game, what that did was it exposed a kind of underlying problem that had always been there, but was masked because we were doing well early. And these are all problems that we talked about in the summer, could be an issue facing, because even if we did well this year, another rebuild has to happen with all these loan players, the players we talked about that are out of contract, and it's not good. So at this point, with the new sporting director and the new coach, the only thing you can do is get rid of the ones aren't going to be a part of the team anymore, and build from that. Cut the squad down even further. Bring in who you can. No more panic buys. Bring in somebody that you think you're going to get long term, and if you can't find somebody on the market, you promote somebody from within.
What are your thoughts, Dionisi? I agree with you, Adi.
Can't say anything more, to be honest. It's exactly that. It's just exactly that.
It is. Yeah. And I feel like a bit of that might come down to the players as well, because as much as that is, as much of a 4-2 loss to Balk sucks hard. I can't even imagine how much it sucks for the players. But some of these guys are experienced professionals. Okay. They've probably gone through rough things in their career to begin with. Obviously, again, like I said, more the experienced professionals. It doesn't seem like there was too crazy of a mindset that was being kind of instilled on the club and in the locker room. There certainly was like a positive aspect to Martinez, but it still didn't seem like that killer fight or die type of mentality that we're so used to seeing. And to think that a 4-2 loss to Balk can completely just blow up the entire roster, I have to think there's something deeper at play, right? Or can that just completely ruin players' egos? Like, what do you think?
It's not just a 4-0 loss though. Like forget the 4-2, the 2 consolation goals. It was 4-0 at halftime.
Yes.
4-0. That was horrible, and it was in the castle. It was in the Karaiskaki. That is unacceptable, unfathomable. That
That's
is
true.
like, it's not just the result; it's where it happened and how it happened. That is all of that. That's a gut punch and a half.
Yeah, that makes sense. And honestly, that's very true. To lose like that in your home stadium, yeah. I don't know. I think maybe I'm thinking a bit too deep about it. Maybe it might just be me, conspiracy nut, but I can see exactly what you're saying, Adi. So you know what? I take back my comments. That's very true. Dionisi, you got anything on that?
The only thing I can add is that some people like the loans. Like I hate to bring him up, but because I genuinely don't like the guy at all. But people like Scarpa don't belong here. Like you see the guy posting stories about whatever the fuck, like skating. I think it was at some point, like movies and shit, while the team is playing. Like, why are you here?
That's another thing, right? How are you expected to build up a core group of players when the core group is going to be gone in 6 months? In 6 months, we're going to be down to the bare bones, the bare minimum of what we have in the team. So I said we were going to do this earlier. We'll just do this now. We're going to do quick keep or sell. If you could keep them, or if you could sell them, you know what I mean? Everything out on the table. So I'm not going to include guys like Heze. I'm not going to include guys like Ortega. They're here. We just purchased them. I don't think they'll be going anywhere. I don't know if you guys disagree.
Esa is a doubt for me because I don't know. I think if a good offer comes out for him, I think he's gone.
That's my worry. He's been an excellent player this year, and man, I was hoping you guys weren't going to say that, so I would be more optimistic because that is exactly what I was thinking. But regardless, so Ibora and Kini, I'm pretty sure are ready to go. Would you guys keep either of them?
No.
I don't know how true they are because you can never really trust Greek reports, but there are talks that they are out.
Yeah.
Basically.
Oh, I don't have a problem with that.
No one does. Especially Kini.
Yeah, he's made quite a few shocking mistakes. We'll call them that. What other players can we throw in there? Alexandropoulos.
I'd keep, but 4 is too much. 4 million is too much.
It's a 4 million transfer. That's what
it's
buyout.
Yeah, that's
the buyout. Thank you.
Okay. What about you, Adi?
I'm keeping my baby boy.
Yeah.
He's from my Babu's Koryo. But I think we can get him for the last like $2 million.
Yeah, well, I think he's been a good piece for this season. He played really well in a few games where I just thought to myself, I'm like, you know what? We got to bring this guy in. We got to put pen to paper. So I agree with both of you.
I mean, he's the reason we're in the Europa League.
Yes.
If you think about it.
That was a crazy moment for us when he scored that goal. That was a pretty intense game, and you can only imagine as a player how that is in a different country, being able to score a goal like that. And he just showed so much passion when he scored, and the celebration, and it was nice to see, especially from an ex-Panathinaikos player. So yeah, I agree with both of you. What about Daniel Podence?
That's a tough
There's
one.
no way he stays.
I agree.
That's what I think as well.
I also think it's a 5 million buyout clause. Is that correct?
5.5, it's something like that.
Way too much, in my opinion. That's not something we can afford. And his we could find a bargain at that position, especially if Cordon is still involved in transfers. Look at the players that we were able to bring in, Alexandropoulos and Podence. He brought them in on loan deals, but still, he had no money. He couldn't do anything else. And I think that's a part of the loan deals. But regardless, what else could we throw in there? Fortunis, obviously, I think we all want to keep. I'm not expecting any other opinion from any Olympiacos fan. He's been unfreaking believable this year. Just a solid captain. I like him. As captain, yeah, I like him. I'm not sure if you guys agree. We'll do that. Would you guys keep him as captain?
Yeah.
No.
No. Why not?
No, I wouldn't keep Fortuny as captain. No.
Who
I get why, but yeah, who else?
Mm-hmm. Who would be better equipped?
Oh, of the team that we have now? Unfortunately, nobody.
Yeah.
There's no other. I meant like at end of the season, I'm looking for somebody else that can be captain of the team. There's other vocal guys. But because like Costa is not, unfortunately, he doesn't have the personality to be a leader. That's something that everybody has told us. That's something that's like completely consistent. He's a guy, because he's so good, he leads by example. But in cases like this, when you're down in the dumps and you need a guy to scream at you, you need a guy that's going to pick you up, and that's not Costa's character.
And it's crazy because it's not really Retsos' character either. It's not Paskalakis. That's not really his character either.
I'd argue it is Paskalakis, to be honest.
Sorry?
I'd argue that it would be Paskalakis, but I don't know if he'll stay.
Yeah, that's another thing, right? I think I'm almost ready to see a bit more Tsolakis as well. What do you guys think? Would you start next season with Tsolakis, or would you bring in another keeper?
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yeah, I am as well.
Thank you, Paskalakis. Give me Tsolakis all the way.
I agree.
Holebas, in the interview we did with Holebas, he had such great things to say about him, about Tsolakis. Actually, everybody does. Even Nico Polizzi had great things to say about him. I interviewed 2 years ago a goalkeeper coach for Olympiacos. Kalougerakos was his name. And he told me the same thing. He's like, listen, Tsolakis is one of the most talented goalkeepers at a young age. Just let him fly. He needed confidence. He looks like he has it. Bring him on.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that because he is the type of player, the camera will go to him and he'll be fully smiling every single time the camera's on him. You know what I mean? Fully smiling, happy to be there. You know what I mean? I don't know if he's just a positive person or if he just absolutely loves the game. Either way, I think that's a great mentality to have. Looks like Dionys's having a bit of trouble there, but I agree with you 100%. That's fantastic to hear from people like Olebas, who was a fantastic player himself, and that goalie coach. That's amazing that he's saying that about a current player in the A team that's from our youth academy. It's nice to see. It's nice to hear things like that. For the next player, I've always thought he's kind of flown under the radar since his arrival. And I always hear a lot of mixed opinions about him, but some people really just don't like him. But I think that Masuras is a great player to have in the squad. He scores, he gets himself in good positions, he's a hard worker. Tactically, he also seems like he somewhat understands football philosophy to an extent. What do you think? Would you keep Masuras around?
Absolutely, you have to keep him.
Yeah.
He's not like we have this discussion about him all the time. people do love to hate Masuras, and it's like, yeah, he's not a winger that can run on players, defenders, and take them on, but he is a hustler. He makes great runs behind the defenders. He does everything that the coach asks. Diego Martinez brought that up about him and Alexandropoulos. Like, they hustle the whole time. They'll do exactly what you ask of them. So you got to have players like that. You know, in an ideal Olympiacos, in a proper Olympiacos, he's probably a squad player, but he's a great squad player to have. So we have to keep him and continue to play with him.
I agree for sure. Welcome back, Dionisi. We were just talking about Masuras and how he's really been playing well this season. Would you keep him around?
You have to, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's always been with. I think it was with Martins that we got Masuras, but he's always been a vital part of the team. I wouldn't have him as a starter, like we said earlier, but I definitely keep him. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I think Adi and I both said similar things to you, so I think we can all agree on that one. I'm trying to think of other players. Obviously, there's Pep Biel. I have never been a fan of Pep Biel personally.
Sad story.
He's not a bad player. We're misusing him 100%, but I think even if we were using him correctly, he's not, I don't want to say he lacks he's not the type to go out and like fight constantly, right? Like, he's a flair type of player almost. His dribbling is fantastic. He's got really good feet. But here he just hasn't looked like that player that would fight, you know? I would personally keep him if we didn't get a good offer in, but sell him if we did get a good offer. You know what I mean? What do you guys think?
He and the hair can fuck off.
That's funny.
My God.
I can see why you say that. Again, I'm trying to play devil's advocate a bit in some of these arguments, which is why I'm kind of stumbling over my words today. But Vinicius, I'll let you talk now.
Even though from the first day, I never liked the guy, but like you said, he's not a bad player. He's not a bad player. You just have to say, what if, like, even a bit.
Well, under different circumstances, things might have been different, you know? If he came into the squad last year and we continued on like we had in previous seasons, you never know. He could have been a great player for us. It just sucks that he's clearly lost all his confidence and all the care for football at this moment because he honestly, it does not look like he cares about the club, which is kind of the vibe I've been picking up on. But regardless, Pep Biel, I think we can all agree is
Great.
a sell. On loan, we have Scarpa, we have Biancon, we have God. I'm not even going to go through them all. I think for
It's
most
too
of the loan
many.
players, they can all go. I haven't seen any that I truly would want to keep around, aside from maybe Perozzo. Maybe. That's a hard maybe. Just because he's younger, but like if we're gonna have a young talent like that in there, I'd rather him be a Greek like youth player. You know what I mean? But if he's not as good, he's not as good. Regardless, Jackson Perozzo, what do you guys think?
Keep as a squad player.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'd argue for Biancon as well. But time will tell, of course.
Yeah.
Hasn't really played much yet.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Ari?
I would keep Pedroza if we can secure him on permanent. He's still young and he looked better than the majority of our center back options until he got hurt. So
Right.
I'm okay with him. He's
Does he
great
take
in
up
the
an
air.
EU spot? Like, does he take up
No,
one of the? No.
He's foreigner.
Oh, okay.
He's from Ecuador.
Right. He doesn't have a European passport, does he?
No.
No. Okay. That could pose some of an issue in the future, but again, time will tell. I'd say that's a good shout. I would be completely fine if we kept him for sure. He's good in the air. I really like that about him. Looks like a solid defender. Good marking.
Do we have a buyout clause for him? That I do not know.
I didn't see one if we did.
Yeah.
Well, that's a shame. We'll have to see how it turns out with the end of the season, but we're getting on to like an hour and 30, so we'll close it down soon. But what else is there to talk about? Maybe Jovetic. What do you guys think in terms of Jovetic?
I can admit how wrong I was.
What do you think, Dionisi?
I think as time goes on, of course, with a return date for his injury, as far as I can see at least, unknown, I think he was a panic buy. Not as bad as James panic buy, but still a panic buy. So I wouldn't. But we can definitely find or even bring up someone better.
What about you, Ari?
I don't think he's the 9 we need. He's definitely talented. I mean, he's got such a clean touch. His first touch is so beautiful. It's but that's not, unfortunately, his mold. Like you could tell that this guy operates as a false nine. But we don't have the system right now to function with him. So, and he can't run as much. We need a different mold of a striker. Otherwise, in a normal world, maybe I'd say yes, but right now, no. I'm no.
Yeah, I agree with you both. And the funny thing is, I was listening to ESPN FC earlier today, and Nate Manure was talking about players who have scored in all the big leagues. And Stefan Jovetic was brought up into the conversation. And Nadim was saying that he had talked to coaches from the Montenegrin national team. He played against a 16-year-old Stefan Jovetic. And they were all saying how he was fantastic, like just an amazing player, super talented, sky's the limit type of player, right? He's now 32. Is he 32?
I'll check that. He's
Something
34.
Like that? Oh, okay. And that's the type of profile we want to bring in as a 34-year-old striker to back up El Kabi. We should have just brought up Costolas instead, right? And these are all things that the fans have said. Adi said, I'm pretty sure on your podcast, you guys said we would rather have someone else. And sure enough, here we are, almost in January, still saying that. And it's things like that that really suck sometimes, just because we can see what is trying to be done, but sometimes what has to be done is better for the club, type of thing. You know what I mean? And sometimes we can't split the two up. What are your thoughts, Dionisi?
I I don't. It's one of the things that I really don't know what to say about a lot. It's not just Jovic. It's like a
Yeah.
lot of players are not what we need like at all.
Mm-hmm.
And that brings me to a question more or less about what you were talking about. Does anyone go in January? Or do we wait?
who do you move on? Who do you move on? I can't think of many names that we can realistically move on.
I can think of loans we can cancel, to be honest.
That would be great. I
Like
mean,
Frede, out.
Solbakken, for example.
Freda and
Yeah.
Solbakken were the two that came to my head immediately. I would like them gone. I don't think
Scarpa?
they.
Scarpa.
I,
I'll rent a
I
skiff
didn't
myself.
realize he was here. In all honesty, sometimes Scarpa completely escapes my mind just because he doesn't play too much, and when he does, he's invisible. But regardless,
He's
I
injured, posting about moving.
yeah. Well, that's what I mean. Where are these deals coming from? Because there needs to be someone with a bit of sense in there who's saying, instead of picking up a 34-year-old striker who's past his best, he's good. Like Adi said, he is a good player. 100%. You can see it in the way he moves, in the way, he plays with the squad in general under Martinez, right? Like he's solid. But there's got to be someone in there with sense when these deals are happening saying, "Oh, we probably shouldn't buy this guy because we have a guy with similar qualities that we can build up into that type of striker." You know what I mean? Or even there's this option that's also here on the table that we could pick up on a permanent deal for less, and he's younger, whatever the case is. Just someone that can talk sense through all the options, and then they pick the player that they want to bring in, because it really does look like a lot of these players are panic buys, or they're added in a sort of hectic, panicky type of way. What would you say? Would you agree with that, Dionisi?
If you talk about Scarpa, for example, I don't know if
Mm.
you remember what happened last summer where he didn't want to come here. And the whole fuss was thrown. There were talks about him coming in. I don't remember if it was summer or winter. Then he ended up at Nottingham, didn't get no games, and now we're where we are. But in general, I don't know if it's panic buys or if it's like the Nottingham guys, if it's recovery loans. Let me phrase it like that. Because whoever is in here, especially from Nottingham, hadn't gotten a game in like at least months, if I'm not completely wrong.
Mm.
Like Richards injured for a very long time.
Mm.
Biancon didn't play for a while. Scarpa played like 2 games, I think.
Yeah, I agree. What about you, Adi?
Well, Biancone, we own. He's on a 3-year contract, I think.
Oh, I didn't
So
know that.
yes,
Oh, I
because
didn't know that as well.
yes, remember this year the loan limit dropped. you can only have 7 players. So we weren't allowed to
true,
loan another. So we
yeah.
own him. We own Biancone. He was a free transfer.
Okay.
So, and he actually, I'm not going to lie, he didn't look half bad against Volos. So,
Yeah.
a lot better than his first match. So, but Omar, man, Omar Richards, he's actually, God, he's actually such a talented player. It's just his injuries are really bad, and I don't think we're going to ever see him out in the winter. Fine by me.
You think he
Yeah.
won't play at all?
I don't. Honestly, when I remember when I did the scouting report and I was reading through the injury history and like what he was recovering from, I wasn't expecting him to play the first half of the season, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So if we knew that he was recovering from an injury like that, why bring him in? Especially if we already have Rusai on the bench, who can fill that position. We have Kini, again, can fill the position, not perfectly, but regardless, we did have options there. It's not like we needed Omar Richards desperately, right? It makes you think. Going on about an hour 35 right now. So what I'm going to get you guys to do is just give a general opinion on Martinez and how you think his stint went with the club. If you want to give it a grade, maybe 1 to 10.
Grading something that got massively influenced by background decision is very hard.
Yeah. And also something that was cut short, a stint that was cut
Something
short.
that was cut very short.
Yeah. But do your best. If it's impossible, it's impossible.
I guess a 6, if you want it on, maybe a 7, speaking football-wise only, because as Ari said, if the thing with Panathinaikos game didn't happen, we're still first. Like even after the Volos game, we're still first. And I do think he would have gotten us into the Conference League, and I do think that's what he was supposed to do. Like I was positive, but I didn't really have hopes about the Europa League because of how last season went mostly. Because the squad is basically an unfinished for a, how do you say it? And a not well planned rebuild, to be honest.
Yeah, I have to agree. Those are very good points there, Dunisi. I can't help but agree with you. I'll move it right on to you, Adi. I'll let you go ahead.
If I'm grading him on what my expectations were, my expectations at the beginning of the summer was Conference League. I wasn't really expecting to get very far in anything, and I didn't expect us to be competing for a title this season. That was just me personally. So he made it into the Europa League group stages with quite literally the same squad we finished the disaster season last year with, and 3 loans. So Ibora Freire and Kini. So he managed to get into Europa League group stage for that. We are first place without the 4-point deduction. So that's not his fault. He earned enough points to put us into first place. That's what I look at. And okay, we had a really bad loss against Bach. We had the really bad loss against Freiburg. Dropped points against Bashka Topola, which we never should have. We get those points. We're still, well, not anymore, but we get those points, then it's shoo-in for Conference League now, and we probably still have a chance at Europa League for knockouts. So for me, it's at this point, the time he's fired, sure, the football wasn't being played well. He also had his issues. He wasn't perfect. He was not a very good game manager from what we saw, but there was a rhythm. He was getting the best out of Costas Fortunis. He was getting a lot out of Daniel Podence before his injury. So, and all of this when we didn't have really much of a budget. We had huge financial fair play concerns. We had to sell 20 million worth of players to balance the books and to not get hit with an FFP fine or possibly a player transfer ban. So all of that had to be done, minimal transfer, minimal budget, and in the end, we, without outside issues or the issues off the field, we're still in first place. So I give him at least a 6.5, maybe a 7.
Yeah, can't help but agree with you again. Like, both you raise great points. I was expecting similar things to you, Adi. I wasn't expecting this massive run where we're going to go to the freaking Europa League semifinals. I was not expecting that. From what I was hearing, this was supposed to be a multi-year project. That's what I was hearing when Martinez first came around.
2 at least, I think.
2. It's December 5th. He was appointed in July or June.
I think it was July.
That seems like a lot less than 2 years to me. I also think we didn't give him enough time. Obviously, some things are out of his control, but I feel like when we started this season, there was a lot of hope. And we were giving him a lot of praise for how the team was doing, especially in that first little bit of the campaign where we were just on top of the freaking world. Like, we were playing really good football. But, like, nothing lasts forever. That's kind of the lesson to take from this first half of the season, right? Like, it's almost like we're in a tunnel and we saw the light at the end, but then the tunnel just caved in almost. You know what I mean? It's just too bad about Martinez. There were some flaws, but there were a lot of positives to what we saw. Again, it's just a shame. I give him a 7.
He was appointed the 1st of July.
1st of July?
Yeah.
I'm just taking a minute. I'm gonna take a minute because I'm gonna say this again. I've said this a few times. This is our sixth manager in 2 years. 2 years, 6 managers, guys. We really have to think about that for a second, because that's not a proper way to run a football club. You can't. It's not about putting out fires. It's about building something that will be hard to catch on fire. You know what I mean? It's not about putting it out. It's about building something that's fire resistant or close to it. At least from, like, the way I think of it, type of thing. I could be talking straight nonsense, but all I know is 6 managers 2 years is not good.
It's a carousel.
Yeah.
For no reason at all.
No. But we are running a very long show tonight, and Dionisi, I'm sure you're exhausted, my friend. So I will let you get to sleep. Adi, thank you so much for joining us, man. It's a pleasure to have you. Good to be on the show finally with you. we'll hopefully see you again soon.
Thank you guys so much for having me. It's a pleasure. And great work.
Yeah.
Thank you
Hey,
so much.
the pleasure's ours, my friend. Like I said, we'll be in contact again at some point. But yeah, everyone take care. Be safe out there, and we will one day get back. I have no doubt in my mind that one day we will get back. We will be back. That day is not today, but that day
They
will
won't
come.
be for a while, but we will be back.
That day will come. I promise. I don't promise, but I hope. Anyway, everybody, good night or good morning, wherever you're watching from. This is Trelos Global, and you can find us on all social media platforms under that name. It's Trelos Global, THRYLOS. Thank you very much for tuning in. Take care, Dionysianari. This is Will. I'm your host and signing off for today. Thanks, guys.